Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and you're staying safe. For this video we'll be continuing our weekly retrospective page through with issue number 12 of Imperium for the Warhammer 40,000 setting. Issue 12 would have released way back in 2022. Definitely some time has elapsed. Anyway, getting straight into it, especially after last week's little longer than usual run through of issue 11. Front of issue number 12, going back to the Necrons with some very nice Necron artwork right front and center, with what I can only imagine are hundreds upon hundreds of Necron warriors. Don't say that 10 times fast. In terms of issue 12 though, so we will go through some Necron war gear names, which will be interesting, some updates to the painting guides, and some new rules, which I suspect is probably going to be some type of heroic intervention, apparently. As for issue 12, in terms of the hobby materials, came with 3 paints, which we will look at later on. Although from issue 11 we did see the preview, so can't remember all 3 of them off the top of my head. Agrax, Earthshade should be one of them, obviously, and there are 2 more. Anyway, going straight into the issue. So contents, Necrons, in terms of the background information, weapon and war gear names, and then from a lore story perspective, we have information about the Imperium Nihilus, chapter planets, and chaos demons. As for painting, back to Space Marines and Necrons, and then the playthrough will be defending the crypts. Necrons, names and war gears. So as we're getting used to, we have a nice little random dice generator for war gear names using the typical D33. I don't know why it had to be a D33, but whatever, I guess. So there's that, war gear for the Necrons, and then on the back we have some more ranged generators for ranged weapons and melee weapons. So very cool. So good way of giving some names to war gear, etc. Is that just to move on of the lights off camera? Try and reduce some of that glare. Anyway, always good to see these random generators. In terms of the Imperium and story, so if information of the Imperium Nihilus, so some artwork here of Abaddon and the Black Legion. Although to be honest, it looks like there's more than Black Legion in there. Black Legion, Ultramarines. I don't know, some of those other Marines don't look very Black Legion-y. And that looks like a word bearer, maybe. And no, that can't be Thousand Sons. Anyway, so there's a little story blurb on that, which follows through onto here. Quick little line or 2 about Commander Dante. Chapter planets. Be interesting to see how many chapter planets still exist. So we have some story on that. Fleet-based chapters, fleet monasteries, so fleet-based chapters. There's obviously a few of them around. Interesting that Dark Angels count as fleet-based. Actually, no, it is true. They are technically still a fleet-based monastery, even though I'm thinking a chunk of the rock is a floating fortress. That's probably why I got confused with the fortress monasteries. I think the Fang might be still one. Maybe. Has been a while. Anyway, so we had that, and then information about chaos demons. Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh. So the Chaos Pantheon. Actually, that's some very cool artwork. If they ever release like a tarot card set or any type of cards with all these types of backgrounds, I'd be very tempted to grab one. Okay, going into the how to paint, and they're basically going through how to paint with shade. So this is where the Agrax will pretty much now start becoming front and center, which is very cool. And then in terms of the Space Marine painting, so we're using both the Agrax Earthshade and the Screamer Pink. So why are we using Screamer Pink? Looks like handles and purity seals, which makes sense. So here's a bit of a summary of some of the stuff that we have collected thus far. The Primaris Captain, the Librarian and Phobos armor, and we've had the Primaris Lieutenant, the Aggressor, and the Assault Intercessor. Definitely getting closer and closer to being parade ready. And then the Necrons, still using Agrax, but they're also using the Canoptek alloy, which is cool. So obviously for some of the lighter shading. In fact, it's, what is it? Still a layer paint. Yep, so it's basically used for highlighting. And then a final gallery of the Necrons thus far: the Overlord, Royal Warden, the Canoptek Plasmacite, the Warrior with a Glaws Flayer, didn't say Glaws, Gauze, and a Scorpec Destroyer. So definitely getting closer and closer. I think the Marines are probably looking a lot further ahead than the Necrons. And then as for the playthrough, what do we have? Necron Overlord versus the Captain by the looks of it. In addition to some Assault Intercessors and Necron Warriors with Flayers. Usual setup instructions, the datasheets of the included models, which is getting bigger and bigger each issue, and then pretty much the start. Space Marines having turn 1 with a move and shooting phase, going into a charge and assault phase. Very much a very Space Marine type playthrough sequence. Now, trying to ever so quickly see if there's anything about the I'd probably have to read every word just to see if there was some of this interesting thing that was alluded to at the beginning of the cover. Anyway, Necrons have a turn 1, which seems to be very much charge based. In fact, it almost looks like the what did happen to the Intercessors and the Warriors? Who knows? As I said, it's one of those things you pretty much have to read through word for word. Usual Imperium advertisement, and then coming soon on the back, issue 13, which we would have looked at via issue 11 as well. So there'll be 5 Assault Intercessors, and issue 14, we're actually moving into some terrain. So we'll get the Minotaurum Armored Canister, container, I don't know where I got canister from. Now, I do believe this, there is a standard retail equivalent. I think this is basically one of 3 of them. When I say 1 of 3, as in the retail version basically is full of like 3 times of everything. So basically this will be a third of that, I believe. I have to double check. But when I do the costings, that'll probably come out when I do issue 15, I guess. Anyway, that was pretty much the page through of issue number 12. Now, what was included? So, Agrax Earthshade, it is in the larger bottle as well. I don't know if this is because they come only in this bottle or if there is a smaller bottle. I'm used to seeing the smaller bottles. But there it is. And despite being 2022, that is still perfectly intact. This should be fun. Pretty sure I just saved about $7. As for the other paints, which probably need a bit more saving, we have the Canoptek alloy, and you can probably see there is definitely hints of fluid in there, but that is definitely going to need a really good shake up. Probably because it's been on its side for since 2022. So there is that, and then lastly the Screamer Pink, which will be good for me because I'm pretty sure this will probably come in handy for Emperor's Children. Can definitely hear some of the liquid in there as well, but similar to the Canoptek alloy, that would take some very vigorous shaking to bring back to life. Okay, so that pretty much brings us to the end of the page through of issue 12 of Imperium. Definitely getting a good feel for how this is going. Obviously enjoying the fact that there's the included paints, brushes, etc. out of the weekly magazine, so it's definitely rebuilding a lot of my 40k hobby side of things. I think I actually might have a rough idea of a Necron color scheme, only because of the recent unveiling of the upcoming Kill Team, I guess, starter box, which will be Deathwatch and Necrons, at least at the point of this recording. And just because of some of the terrain included in it, it just gave me really strong Borg alcove vibes from Star Trek. So I'm thinking I actually would like to do well, try to, I don't know how viable it will be like a nice, like a flat black, maybe ceramic black, if such a description actually ever exists, for their main armor. I haven't decided on a glow yet. It'd be a toss up between the green or a red, probably the green, because obviously, especially in ball cubes, a lot of that green source lighting. So that's the current thought. I haven't thought about how to execute it yet. Time will tell, especially given I need that very flat black and not necessarily a I don't want to say shiny black. What is the correct terminology? It's not coming to me right now. But anyway, that is my current thought. So stick around. Hopefully by the time we hit issue 90, would have found out if it worked or not. Anyway, probably a good time just to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching this page through video of Imperium. Feel free to do the usual like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. It does help support the channel and I do appreciate it. Feel free to check out Instagram. 40k content is still slowly building. Keep saying that every single week. But yeah, have a look anyway. There's also some stuff on the community post as well. Just as some running progress of where I'm at with things. With that being said, stay safe and take care, and I will catch you all in next week's video of Imperium or something else on the channel. See ya.